You're watching Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy. It's all part of the ACC on ESPN, where we welcome you inside Littlejohn Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina. The North Carolina Tar Heels come to town ranked as high as they've been in the AP poll this year at number 5, and Clemson looking to get back to 500 in ACC play, in need of a big victory here tonight. Glad to have you with us. Mike Cousins, Corey Alexander, the former Virginia and NBA standout. 3 games are left before the ACC tournament for the Tigers. It's not must-win today, but this is the biggest opportunity left they have to make a statement.
It may not be must-win, but it is definitely desperation time when you think about the Clemson Tigers and the opportunity they have to get a resume-building win under their belt against the North Carolina Tar Heels. And you're talking about the number 5 team in the country at the top of the ACC, and you look at Clemson's resume, the 7-8 record in ACC place, BPI ranked strength of schedule, but the important line here is the 1-8 versus Quadrant 1 teams. This is where Clemson can truly make a stand and have a huge resume-building win.
It's the time of year where you're worried about the game that you have going on right now, and the other bubble teams, they're going to be watching Utah State in a big one tonight against Nevada later on, and North Carolina a half game out of first place as they've flip-flop back and forth with Virginia as of late. The Cavaliers victorious in dominant fashion over Pittsburgh earlier today. A cruising week for the Cavaliers, taking down the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech and the Panthers. And so UNC can even things up with the Wahoos with a win here at Littlejohn Coliseum. Clemson in the home white, Carolina in the road blue. And the opening tip belongs to the number 5 team in the country.
And you immediately see the patented Carolina break created by Dean Smith, getting the basketball inside, but denied by Eli Thomas early, getting off to a great start defending the rim.
And getting down the floor in Carolina style, Reed has too much on the layup. The start today goes to Clyde Trapp, the sophomore from the Palmetto State, as he replaces David Skara, the best defender on Clemson's roster. An upper body injury is what the school has reported for Skara, who had started all 28 games coming into play today, so he does not start for the first time this year, and Trapp makes his first start since December 22nd against South Carolina.
And in a huge game, that is a major loss, not having Skara in the game, and we hopefully will see him play. But the fact that he's not starting and not 100% as the best defender for the Clemson Tigers really is a loss for them, especially when you've got to deal with guys like Cam Thomas and Kobe White.
White coming off a masterful performance against Syracuse on Wednesday, scoring 34 points and knocking down 6 threes. Mitchell had Johnson fading back into the lane, and with his foot on the line, gets 2 for the Tigers. White, Williams, Johnson with May and Brooks in the front court as May works in the post for the Tar Heels. And a foul against the Tigers. Thomas and Sims in the vicinity. And a foul is on Sims.
North Carolina immediately looking to get the basketball inside. We've seen Garrison Brooks with the touch and Luke May as we look at Roy Williams now in his 16th season as the head coach of North Carolina. 3 national championships to his credit. Actually one more than the great Dean Smith, the legend of the University of North Carolina. And regardless of how many national championships Roy wins, Roy would be the first to tell you he will always look up to the legend, the man that brought him into college basketball.
The living Hall of Famer in both the Naismith and college basketball halls. His team's got 9 road wins this year, most among major conference teams, tied with Virginia and Houston. Traveling the call, whistle from Ron Groover. He's joined by Clarence Armstrong, the former Drexel Hooper, and Jeff Anderson, the refs today.
And rarely do teams feel as though they have an advantage versus North Carolina in the post, but Clemson definitely feels that way, getting the basketball inside to Eli Thomas. You see Thomas shuffle the feet in the first turnover for the Tigers.
Johnson retreats into a 3-point shot on the assist from May.
And for those who do not know, Cam Johnson loves this building. 32 here against the Tigers a year ago, knocking down 6 3-pointers. And he's playing at a big-time level right now.
In what was a Clemson victory, despite his great output in that game. Last year, the Tigers got off to a sizzling hot start that carried them through. A lot of crowd support, and they've told us a sellout here today in Clemson as well. White rattles the three.
Well, a year ago, we talked about that game when Cam Johnson went for 32. Joel Berry also had 27, so if we see anything similar to that with Kobe White and Cam Johnson's performance here today, this could be a spectacular offensive display for Carolina.
Tigers work the perimeter, and the Tar Heels are with them every step of the way. A heavy dose of Thomas to start, and for good measure as he goes off glass to score. He's got 4. Brooks at the other end, an excellent defender, not quite as capable a scorer as Thomas.
And when you see that opportunity, Luke May doing the right thing, getting the basketball inside, but when you see the size differential between Eli Thomas and Garrison Brooks, and consider how good of a defender Eli Thomas is on the block, I'm not sure if that's where you really want to put the basketball. For North Carolina this year, they are a perimeter-oriented team.
Great look to the corner for Trapp, who cans the three on the feed from the big man Thomas. Here's Williams curling into the shot. One and done on that possession for UNC. A fantastic rebounding team. Another open look from 3.
And that's the second time Eli Thomas created a beautiful opportunity for a teammate. Amir Sims unable to finish that one, but Eli Thomas doing a great job being a facilitator early in this game.
His biggest problem has been fouls. That time, the foul, it goes against May. Thomas hits the deck and gets the fans to their feet.
And it's been about the book of Eli early for the Tigers. Manipulating on the block, making the beautiful move, the left-hand finish, and then finding Clyde Trapp in the corner. 3 ball, corner pocket is good in a huge game for the Tigers.
Part of the trouble with trying to beat North Carolina this year is you're not going to outscore them. They're 3rd in America in points per game. Kobe White, a big reason why. He scored 34 against Syracuse as the Tar Heels put 93 on the Orange in the midweek.
And when you have a player like Kobe White, who 34 points is the most by a UNC player this season, his ability to shoot the basketball makes him so dangerous because you know about the speed and the size at 6'5". But the shooting ability makes him special. 9 for 14 from the field, 6 for 11 from 3, and 10 for 10 from the free throw line. That is putting up Tyler Hansbrough-like numbers during his freshman year for Kobe White.
Well, if you followed what Roy Williams has said about certain players on this team this year, he's called Nasir Little the most explosive player he's ever coached. Little comes into the game here after the first time out, and Kobe White called him the best scoring guard that I've coached. And so when a coach of his ability and his track record makes those statements, that'll certainly catch your eye. There's a three-pointer from Hunter Tyson. And he said this 18-19 squad, you go back to around 2009 with Lawson, fastest guard he's ever coached, Hansbrough, the fiercest player he's ever coached. Got a fierce crowd right now as well. This team compares favorably to that group.
It really does. And Brad Brownell excited about the production he's getting from his freshmen early in this game. John Newman stepping up and taking the charge on Kenny Williams, and then Hunter Tyson stepping in and knocking down the 3. An interesting note, Mike, Hunter Tyson, John Newman, and Kobe White, all 3 teammates for the Team CP3 All-Stars, Chris Paul's AAU program a year ago.
All guys North Carolina natives. And that's a call that gets the North Carolina bench on its feet after a couple of charges.
And Kenny
Williams
was
on Reed.
Yeah, Kenny Williams, who picked up the charge in a previous possession, does a great job defensively, cutting off Marquise Reed. And as Reed extends that elbow, Kenny Williams taking the charge. And Kenny Williams does a great job defensively. And, of course, he's going to be the guy getting the matchup primarily against Marquise Reed, one of the ACC's best.
White steps back. His ability to create space is incredible. He hit that 3 getting away from Mitchell and there escaping Reed.
Well, and the step back, and a lot of the reason why he went to that move is solely because he did not want to pick up a charge going into the paint. He saw it earlier, so does a great job getting to the mid-range. I don't care what people say. The mid-range shot is not dead, especially when it goes in and still counts for 2 points.
Tyson gets it out for Reed. Good from three. The formula from last year's win, proving efficient so far in the first 6 minutes. A top 10 victory for UCF, ending Houston's home winning streak. We welcome you to yet another raucous environment here at Littlejohn Coliseum. Just a few minutes gone. Number 5 North Carolina has won 11 of their last 12 and 4 straight. And it's desperation time for Clemson, one of Joe Lunardi's last 4 teams in, looking to pick up a major Quadrant 1 victory.
And for the first 6 minutes of this game, we've seen a desperate Clemson Tigers basketball team making shots and, more importantly, making winning plays, taking charges, doing everything possible to build a 5-point lead here at Littlejohn Coliseum.
3 for 5 from 3 to start. A wide open look for Newman doesn't go. White gets a good look and buries it again.
And if you have that matchup versus Kobe White, you cannot run back defensively to the paint. You have to stop at the three-point line and recognize where he is at all times. Went through a little bit of a shooting slump, but after breaking out for 34 points versus Syracuse has already got off to a great start here this evening.
8 of their 13 with a couple of three-pointers. Are there going to be any more baskets inside the arc today?
Well, I tell you what, when you talk about the ability to shoot the basketball, Shelton Mitchell shoots very well in this building.
So does Kobe White.
I'm not sure why he keeps getting open, but if you're Brad Brownell, you got to make sure you let whoever is guarding Kobe White know they are not in help position. They do not have help responsibilities. You have to stay home on him. 11 points already, knocking down 3 threes early in this game.
Just inside the arc for Reed. The Tigers' leading score averages 19 a night. Tigers and the Tar Heels blow for blow so far. Kobe White, with no space that time, hits another three-pointer. Remarkable.
And my favorite part of that, no reaction whatsoever, just a small clap from Roy Williams because he's seen it all before. He knows what he has at the point guard position in Kobe White.
The greatest scorer in the history of North Carolina high school basketball has started 4 of 5 from deep. Little with the rebound, got tied up with White as the foul on the Tigers' big man.
Well, Kobe White, we know what he does in North Carolina, but he's brought his whole package to South Carolina. The step back, and then, of course, 4 of his attempts from beyond the arc have gone in. You've got to make sure you stay connected to 2 in baby blue as he has found his way here today.
They got a new way to say it. Kobe. The company is elite for teams with 3 players averaging at least 14.5 points a game. Gonzaga, you'll see them in action tonight, 10 Eastern here on ESPN against St. Mary's, team that's winning by an average of 25 points a game. Some injuries have set back this big 3. Kobe White has done it just about by himself so far here in the early going against Clemson.
And this tells you how committed Roy Williams is to playing the Carolina way, because right now he inserts 7 Woods into the game for Kobe White. And many coaches with a guy that hot would not take him out of the game. But Roy Williams is committed to playing his full rotation and making sure each and every one of his players that are going to play are comfortable in their role, because he knows he can need them as the game goes along.
Reed with the fall away. The Clemson lead stretches to 3. And as we spoke with Roy this morning at their practice, he said, we may see Sterling Manley today, who's missed the last 16 games with a sore knee. He's practiced in full the last couple of days, but he's reluctant at this point to make major changes to his rotation because of how well they've been playing.
And when you look at who would have to lose minutes because of that. You're talking about Nasir Little, who has been playing very good basketball, as we see Garrison Brooks check back in for Luke May. But to be able to get, Sterling Manley back in the mix, Nasir Little could possibly lose minutes. And so from that, and he also talked about how well Garrison Brooks has been playing during this stretch, getting an additional about 10 minutes a game. And he actually averages 8 points and 7 rebounds on the road, where, of course, North Carolina is undefeated in ACC play.
9 road wins this year. Only Houston and Virginia among major conferences have as many. Little's try thwarted by the freshman Tyson. Seeing some early minutes here for the Tigers, a guy who averages just 9 minutes a game, number 5 in white. There goes the double team, and the pass out, a corner 3. Falls through for Trapp, who looks back at the student section to celebrate his 6th point of the night.
Mike, we talked about Davis Carr not starting and how great he is defensively for the Clemson Tigers, but Clyde Trapp does give them a better option offensively with his ability to shoot the basketball. A young man who hit 4 3-pointers versus Pittsburgh and has a very good offensive season thus far.
A lot of contact at midcourt, loose ball, they let him play. Trapp steps into it.
And a good look for Trapp, especially after the hustle play. Already knocked down a couple threes in this game. North Carolina dodges a bullet on that possession.
Another offensive foul. 3rd time the whistle's blown in that fashion at that end of the court. It's our final big Monday regular season doubleheader on ESPN. It starts at 7 Eastern, Virginia's final road game of the season. Their eye on the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament. And then number 11, Texas Tech hosts Texas. And Texas Tech defeated TCU today, keeping first place in the Big 12. Of course, they've got K-State facing Baylor later tonight. So that's fluid for now. 9.5 to go in the first half. Mike Cousins, along with Corey Alexander, Clemson and North Carolina, as the Tigers, who are 17-11 with just 1 quadrant 1 win, look for another to boost their NCAA resume. Jump ball stays with the Tigers.
Great play by 7th Woods, getting in when Elijah Thomas catches the basketball that deep. And we look at the Clemson Tigers resume, the number that sticks out, 1-8 versus quadrant 1. And right now, of course, Joe Lunardi has them in as a 12 seed. Mike, I personally feel like the Tigers have more work to do. A great opportunity here today against North Carolina. They have Syracuse here to end the regular season. But I think that the Tigers have much more work to do to be comfortable about their opportunities to get into the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid.
And, of course, it's all relative to what's happening around the rest of the country with bubble teams. You've got a huge game relative to the Tigers in the Mountain West tonight as Nevada visits Utah State, which hasn't made the tournament since 2011. And there you go with a 1-2 matchup in the Mountain West. Something that stood out thus far, Corey, also, and it's one of the things the Tigers worked on this morning at their 9:30 practice. They have not been beaten down the floor.
Well, they haven't been beaten down the floor because one of the things about North Carolina, when you play against the Tar Heels, as we see them getting out in transition, beautiful feed from 7th Woods to Garrison Brooks, who finishes with the lob. When you play against North Carolina, you have to get back and get your defense set, because when you don't, this is what happens. North Carolina, after misses, it doesn't matter. They push the basketball. They play at one of the most rapid rates in the country. And that's why they're the 3rd highest scoring team in the country right now. And they're great offensively when they get the ball in transition, especially with the number of shooters that they have on the floor.
And with how fast they go, Ron Groover, the official you just saw, wearing a Fitbit, he's going to bring us the results at halftime just to see how far he's run with how quick this game's moving.
Yeah, I'm not sure people realize that the pace of the game also has an impact on the officials. And so a great group we have here tonight, and get an opportunity to see just how much running they do when you do a North Carolina game in comparison to a Syracuse or a Virginia.
And we know Ron does not skip upper body day at the gym, but this will also prove that he gets his cardio in as well.
Luke May, back in for North Carolina.
Tough spot here for Clemson. Marquise Reed, their leading scorer, 2 fouls. And 8 minutes to go first half. But they hang on to a 4-point lead as they've shot well from 3, as have the Tar Heels. No angle for Brooks on that post feed, out of bounds off of Clemson.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get back to 100%.
It's been hard to find a missed shot from deep so far. Teams combined for 10 made threes on 21 tries. And almost 70% of the points in this game have come from deep, Corey.
And Clemson shooting 50% from the field, so they're getting it done inside and out. North Carolina at 41.2, which is rare for the Tar Heels to be, on this side of the field goal percentage, but still, when the ability to shoot the basketball, when you have a Kobe White and Cameron Johnson, you're going to be in every game. But right now, North Carolina have a very difficult time getting stops against the Tigers.
7 to shoot as Johnson drives and sends it back for Brooks. This North Carolina team has been an outlier relative to previous iterations in the Carolina Blue, making almost 9 threes a game, 8.8 to be precise, on track to be a school record.
And the reason for that is because one thing you don't have at North Carolina this season, you don't have the dominant post player that they're used to having. Roy Williams is one of the very few coaches that is still committed to playing 2 bigs and not the 4-out-1 system. So when you look at it, but they don't play inside out any longer simply because they don't have that big, but they have great perimeter players that allow them to be able to make those 8.8 three-pointers a game.
The Tigers have defended admirably without their leading defender, David Scara, making an appearance so far. An upper body injury is what we were told prevented him from making his 29th start of the season today.
And a good look for Kenny Williams, just unable to go down. Williams now 0 for his last 11 from 3. And Luke May ends up picking up the foul, his second foul, going after the offensive rebound. And another thing that we have to talk about, Elijah Thomas doing a very good job staying out of foul trouble and staying on the court here in this first half. And he's been a difference maker for the Tigers, whether it's scoring, passing, or defending.
See if they try and find him for a high percentage field goal. They've missed their last 5 and have not scored for almost 3.5 minutes.
Well, that was a play designed because Luke May has those 2 fouls to get the basketball inside to Amir Sims and see if we can get that third on May and get him out of the game for the remainder of the first half.
May with a cross-court feed, and it's stripped away from Brooks. Mitchell traveling. Some contact there as he went down the lane.
Great interior defense by the Clemson Tigers. Luke May with the beautiful find to Garrison Brooks, but you see Amir Sims coming up, recovering with a huge block shot, and that's helping the helper. Elijah Thomas came over and helped Sims so he didn't get beat on the drive, and Amir Sims does a great job getting back and blocking that shot to take care of Elijah Thomas.
May fades for the 3. A good test of 2 foul participation to leave Luke May in now about 2 minutes after picking up that second foul. As you've got coaches in this league, Josh Pastner, number 1 in the country, playing guys with 2 fouls, and Tony Bennett, 3rd to last in the country in that category. There's another 3, the second for Johnson.
Mike, of course, it feels like Clemson really has momentum on their side in this building right now. Things have been going their direction, but you look at it, it's only a 1-point lead for Clemson. And with Kobe White has really been the only Tar Heel with big production thus far. Cam Johnson's knocked down a couple of threes, but he hasn't had his normal 20-point-per-night game, especially what he's been able to do in road games this season in the ACC.
And just 1 transition bucket, which was a lob dunk and 1 for Garrison Brooks. Here they come running the floor. Step back 3, White. in his range on the edge of the paint has 4, and the Tar Heels have the lead, 26-25.
And they got it off of an offensive rebound. North Carolina averages over 13 offensive rebounds per game. The best rebounding team in the country, gathering 42-plus rebounds per game, and you have to be aware of them on both ends of the floor.
Thomas, strength to shake and finish. And it ends a more than 5-minute scoring drought where the Tigers missed 8 consecutive tries. High-low action. May gets it back out of bounds. North Carolina basketball. Tonight's NBA Saturday primetime game features 2 of the league's top teams. It's the Warriors in Philadelphia, the center of baseball news as of late. They take on the Sixers. Coverage starts with NBA Countdown, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. That's on ABC, and you can watch on the ESPN app. Take it with you anywhere.
And Roy Williams actually getting Luke May out of the game, putting Nasir Little back in as Andrew Platek gets in for offensive rebound. And, you know, we talk about the rebounding for North Carolina. It is stressed by Roy Williams. That is one of the areas where they have to excel each and every time out. So even though they're not a huge team, with Garrison Brooks out there at the center position, they still crash the offensive glass.
Platek averages about 4 minutes a game. He loses it, stays North Carolina ball.
But that goes back to the commitment of making sure that all of his guys are engaged by Roy Williams. You talk about Platek getting those 4 minutes a game, but he's played in now 13 of their 16 ACC games, so he's part of their rotation, especially in the first half.
Well short on the three-point try. Tigers by 1. Playing against a North Carolina team that's won 11 of 12. Their best stretch in ACC play in 5 seasons. Loose ball scooped up by Trey Jemison into the game. They drive through the defense, and a North Carolina foul stops the clock at 3:35 to go. Foul is on Platek. An exciting first half. Clemson by 1.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Crunch, the chocolate bar all Americans love.
Rick, we look forward to it, and a busy day in college basketball already, and an important one in the ACC and for the entire NCAA tournament field here with Carolina as one of the last 4 teams into the field. And it's Shelton Mitchell, the North Carolina native, at the free throw line, hitting the first for Clemson. Now up to 6 on the afternoon. And
you heard me talking about Shelton Mitchell and the CP3 All-Stars earlier today. I've mentioned the fact that they had so many guys who played on that younger team with Kobe White, John Newman, Hunter Tyson, and of course Leaky Black, who's not playing for North Carolina, but Shelton made sure to mention that his team was the best team of them all, and they would have smashed Kobe's team for the record.
Leaky Black out today, now missing his 9th straight game. Well, there's been a lot of contact that's been non-whistle plays under the basket. That time it's a foul on Amir Sims, his second.
And this is an area where Nasir Little has really progressed as the season has gone along. Roy Williams implored with him earlier in the year to attack the basket more, not be a guy that settled for as many three-pointers and as many perimeter shots, and use that, as you call, the most explosive player that he's ever coached, ability to be able to get to the rim and finish, and also be able to get to the free throw line. Actually made 7 free throws in the Syracuse game, didn't shoot well from the field, but still a double-figure score because of his ability to get to the line and take care of those opportunities.
Sims sits with the 2 fouls, perhaps for the last 3:21 of the half. And Little, 76% on the year, 100% on that trip, trying to make it 3 straight games with at least 10 points.
And he's battled some injuries as this season has gone along. Of course, spraining his ankle early in the Virginia game, missed the majority of that one.
Here he goes, leading the break. 3 for the Tar Heels. Johnson from the wing, around and out, and Brooks is called for the over-the-back foul. His second.
Foul on 15, Garrison Brooks. That's his second, 17th foul.
You know, Garrison Brooks picks up the foul on that possession, but he has really, very similar to this North Carolina team, Garrison Brooks' level of improvement has changed significantly as this season has gone along. Early in the year, now he got off to a very good start as we see Brandon Huffman entering the game for Brooks as he picks up the foul. But you know, Garrison Brooks started off the year with a 20-point performance at Wofford, and since then he really hasn't been relied on much to score for this team. But what he's given them, especially on the road, 8.1 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, really shows the development of how far Brooks has come along as the season started.
Shout out to Wofford, by the way, in the AP Top 25 for the first time ever this week.
Well, and you look at the 9-1 record for North Carolina this season, but you think about the fact that Roy Williams, unlike many coaches, especially at a high-level program like North Carolina, he challenges his team. His first 2 games this season are at Wofford, at Elon. And these are not like neutral site games. They are going and playing in hostile territory early in the season, really developing what these guys are going to have to go through as the season goes along when they see these tough ACC environments.
Do you think NCAA football coaches could learn a thing or two from that?
I don't think they're going to do that. Don't think that's going to happen.
With Corey Alexander, Mike Cousins, glad you're here with us. A 3-point lead for Clemson. They haven't won 2 straight against North Carolina since 2003 in February, and then the next season in January of 2004. Be a big moment for them and their season. They could pull it off today after topping the Tar Heels a year ago, going 15 of 30 from 3. Today, 5 of 13 from deep. Johnson hovers down into the regalia-coated lane and draws the foul.
Foul is called on Elijah Thomas. That's his first.
One of the teams you'll see early on football season, ACC Network, will be these Clemson Tigers as ESPN and the ACC team up to bring you the ACC Network come August. 15 universities, 1 network. For more information, go to getaccn.com.
I believe that's going to be Clemson, Georgia Tech, right? The first live event on ACC Network.
And Georgia Tech just made a huge football announcement recently as well, saying they're going to take some of their games away from their home field and go into, I want to say, is Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Oh, wow. Okay.
1 for each of the next 5 years, I believe.
Well, I can tell you right now, they better be playing Clemson because that's a big building to fill.
Indeed it is. Reed back into the game with 2 fouls. Well, they've held the lead even the majority of the time. He's not been on the floor. A strong side layup for Thomas extends the advantage to 4. Huffman battling for it. No call. Little gets the whistle and the roll.
And again, Mike, offensive rebounding. 3 opportunities on this one possession by North Carolina. It is something that Roy Williams emphasizes every day in practice with this group. Huffman unable to finish, but Nasir able to come up with the 3-point play on the second chance opportunity. And just like that, again, it's now a 1-point game.
And the number of one-and-done players under Roy, you can count them on one hand. Little may be the next. Thomas calling for it, and the entry pass tipped away. A 4-on-3 for the Tar Heels. The open man is Williams. Kobe White, another 3-pointer. He's 5 of 8 from deep, 17 points for the freshman.
And great recognition in transition by the Tar Heels, knowing that they had the hot guy trailing, allowing and Well, Roy Williams is down
on a knee in front of the North Carolina bench.
Now, Mike, I've actually seen this before, and I'm not trying to speculate, but Roy battles with vertigo. And I've seen this actually live before. Hopefully he'll be fine, but he's up on his feet now. And hoping he's okay. But again, very scary situation for Coach Williams because, of course, he never knows when it's going to affect him. Very classy move by the Clemson Tiger faithful.
In the coach's locker room off to the right, down the tunnel there, just off the baseline here inside Littlejohn Coliseum. So as they were coming down the floor, it was a whistle that stopped play, and all of a sudden, Coach Williams was down to one knee in front of the North Carolina bench. It'll be on the right side of your screen. So we hope he's back on the floor soon, and we'll do our best at halftime to get you the latest information we can.
And he had an episode a couple years ago at Boston College where he had a very similar scenario, but it was in the second half of the game. He did not come back to coaching that game, and Steve Robinson took over in that one, as he will here this evening. And you see Coach Williams go down, and then Brad Brownell recognizing it and making sure that everyone holds up, telling the officials that Coach Williams is down.
A scary moment for Roy Williams. Steve Robinson, who's been with him every season at North Carolina, 23 years overall, leads the charge right now. Ron Groover, Clarence Armstrong, the officials go over to the monitor, take a look at the infraction under the basket. Thomas trying to swim through,
and you see the right elbow connect as Thomas is trying to swim through. He was called for the offensive foul, and the elbow does connect above the shoulders. Would not be shocked if they come away with a flagrant one foul on this, although there was no malintent from Elijah Thomas. It's pretty clear cut that when the elbow does connect above the shoulders.
And when you look at the rules, the bullet points that determine a flagrant one foul, one of them is illegal contact caused by the swinging of an elbow. Intent doesn't necessarily have to factor into that.
Absolutely not. And again, the intent is the difference between it being a flagrant one and a flagrant two. If it's a, excessively, and with that bad intent, that's normally going to be the flagrant two that gets you ejected. I think this will be the flagrant one, variety.
2 free throws and the ball, the penalty, and any change of possession or free throws are huge in what's been really a 1 or 2 possession game the entire night. Now it is a flagrant one, as Ron Gruber confirms to us by the letter of the law. That makes sense. Clemson fans won't like it, but the contact was there. It was above the shoulders and with the elbow.
And with 39.6 seconds, it's also going to be the second foul on Elijah Thomas. And you see excessive and or unnecessary, not a legitimate play on the ball, push or hold from behind. And again, when you see Thomas just really trying to make the swim move and get position, that elbow comes up. It does make contact above the shoulders, which that one is pretty much textbook.
Now there's a little bit more discretion for a flagrant one versus a hook and hold, which you've become familiar with this year.
But the flagrant one, unlike a technical foul, the person that was fouled has to shoot the free throws. So at this point, it'd be Sterling Manley going to the line in comparison to in a technical foul situation. You could send anyone where you would send a Kobe White to the line. So it doesn't have the advantage. And, of course, Manley misses one of the free throws.
Those were only his 17th and 18th free throw attempts this year. And, oh, by the way, he has missed the last 16 games.
And you see right there, just trying to get position. Elijah Thomas, what is called amongst the bigs, a swim move. And catches Manley with that elbow. But, of course, the basketball going back to North Carolina, down 3, an opportunity to try to cut into this lead or tie the game. Going into halftime, beautiful stroke from Cam Johnson, knocking down another three-pointer, which the 3 has been the answer for North Carolina. North Carolina now leads by 6.
A 10-0 North Carolina run. The Tigers holding for the final shot of the first half. Into the corner, Newman goes behind the back after getting out of the three-point try and makes it look good. 39-35. Clemson battling to get off the bubble. We'll get you the latest on Roy Williams, who went down to a knee in front of the North Carolina bench. For now, we'll go to the studio. 39-35 is the score at the break. Welcome back to Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Clemson and North Carolina separated by just 4 points, but a big absence from the North Carolina bench. A very scary moment late in the first half as Hall of Fame head coach Roy Williams, who has battled with vertigo, went down to a knee there into the lap of associate head coach Steve Robinson, who's been with him during his tenure at North Carolina. Was walked off the court by the trainer, Doug Halverson, and director of player development, Eric Hoots. Went back to the coach's locker room in the tunnels underneath Littlejohn Coliseum. North Carolina sports information officials tell us that he's feeling a little bit better now. There's no expectation that he'll return to the bench. If he's feeling better, we certainly do hope to see him back.
Hey, prayers for coach. And, of course, I was actually in Boston College 3 seasons ago when he had the last bout with vertigo that caused him to miss time. And he actually went out of that game, allowed Steve Robinson to finish the game, which it seems as though he's going to do in this one. But did have a meeting with his coaches back in the locker room explaining what he wanted them to get across to his team. And I look, honestly, to see the Tar Heels play very inspired basketball here in this second half, knowing that their coach isn't with them.
And they get a 100% look to open the half as Garrison Brooks gets his second bucket of the night and stretches the North Carolina lead to 6 points, equaling their largest. Both teams shot well from 3 to start. You remember last year as Clemson picked up the 4-point win over North Carolina. It was 3-pointers, a barrage of them that carried them to that win, hitting their first 7 of the game and finishing 15 for 30. Today, they try and defeat North Carolina in back-to-back games for the first time in 15 years. And a nice first half for Kobe White, which also featured a lot of threes. He hit 5 of them. He's now up to 19 points.
But 2 back-to-back layups on the first 2 possessions offensively for North Carolina on their offensive end, and then getting the basketball inside to Eli Thomas. So we saw a bunch of threes in the first half, and right now it seems as though the emphasis for both teams is to score points in the paint.
We mentioned the notable absence of Roy Williams for North Carolina in the second half. Another one today has been for Clemson. David Scarr didn't start for the first time this year, had started the first 28 games. The school reporting an upper body injury for its best defender. He's out. It's 13 now for Cam Johnson, the best three-point shooter in the ACC.
And also, Cam Johnson at 6'9" has the ability to shoot over much smaller defenders. Of course, Scarr is a 6'7", so he's a better defensive matchup. But that's one of the things that the Clemson staff told us earlier. Regardless as to who you put on Cam Johnson, he really can shoot over top of anyone unless it's you're talking about your center, and he's just going to drive right past those players.
Anybody on the bubble is watching this game as Clemson tries to play their way into certainty, down by 7 at home. The ACC provides plenty of chances for marquee victories. The Tigers have found themselves falling short all too often. Braxton Beverly with a dagger of a three-pointer for a win. Zach Johnson at the last second down in Coral Gables. And then nearly a victory as Jordan Wara turned it over, came up with a game-saving block to fend off the Tigers, who have an opportunity for a second Quadrant 1 victory here tonight. Right now a number 12 seed, one of the last 4 into the field, along with Seton Hall, Arizona State, and Utah State, which has a chance to improve its NCAA tournament hopes tonight against number 12 Nevada. Johnson drives baseline, puts it up with 5 to shoot. Not a great look. Reed's got the fall away.
And Marquise Reed now in double figures, but he missed a large portion of the first half with those 2 fouls. So Clemson definitely needs his production here in this second half if they want to be able to come up with a huge win against the Tar Heels.
He missed 9 first half minutes. Thomas looking for the 3. He's only taken 1 this year and it didn't go in. Now 0 for 2. And it hurts him getting back down the floor.
And Mike, we've talked about the Quadrant 1 and even Quadrant 2 wins, and this is the way that the NCAA evaluates the teams that belong in the NCAA tournament. And you see a Quadrant 1 win is against a top 30 team on your home court, on a neutral court, the top 50, and then playing on the road, a top 75 team. And you see Quadrant 2 below that. So this is the way that it is all based upon the net rating that, of course, is being used by the NCAA this season in comparison to what used to be the RPI. And so we've mentioned that a number of times regarding Clemson's resume, and they're 1-8 versus teams in that Quadrant 1 right now, which makes this game versus North Carolina even more important to be able to say you have that huge win on your resume.
Meanwhile, for North Carolina, not in any danger whatsoever. Their only hope is to become a number 1 seed, up from where they're projected right now on the 2 line. All 5 of their losses are against Quadrant 1 teams. White goes over the shoulder, the grad transfer from Oral Roberts.
And White getting into the game because Elijah Thomas picked up that 3rd foul on the Kobe White drive. And now it's Kobe White picking up the offensive foul. Clarence Armstrong saying that he extended that left forearm on the move, but Kobe White with his speed oftentimes puts defenders on their heels. And then with his ball handling, the ability to be able to change direction to stop on a dime, he can lose guys. But that one they say he actually pushed off to pick up the offensive foul.
Brad Brownell electing to save Elijah Thomas, who picked up his 2nd foul late in the first half on a flagrant 1, an elbow against Sterling Manley for North Carolina, the big man playing for the first time since late December. White's got the rebound, 1-on-1 against May, who turns him away at the rim. Little for 3. North Carolina basketball after the Tigers look to be in good position for a transition bucket.
And give North Carolina tremendous credit for getting back on transition. An unexpected shot by Nasir Little. No defensive balance, but you saw the Tar Heels sprinting back, taking away that layup opportunity from Shelton Mitchell.
Luke May, quiet first half, only had 4 points, averaging 15 on the year. Sims all the way from the corner, and it's batted into the air, into the hands of Kobe White. Johnson left his feet, didn't know where he was going to go with it, and the 3-pointer comes up short. Teams trading empty possessions until Clyde Trapp puts it in. After the miss, the Tar Heels are 0 for their last 6.
And right now, Clemson going to take their time, make sure they get a quality look. They know how important this possession is. Brad Brownell calling out exactly what he wants from the sideline, recognizing it will be huge to take a lead here.
And Amir Sims, the sophomore from Palmyra, Virginia, has the chance to do just that. Tie it up when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Smile Direct Club, delivering straighter smiles for 60% less.
Ron Gruber, a third of the officiating triumvirate tonight, knows he's going to have to run a lot when he sees North Carolina. That's why he keeps the Fitbit on his ankle.
And Ron Gruber, of course, you talked about his conditioning earlier today, and we see Ron Gruber getting up and down the floor, and of course so many responsibilities as an official, making sure Cam Johnson behind the three-point line. But when you do a North Carolina game and you see the numbers on Ron Gruber, what he's had to do already in this game, 2.7 miles already, lost 728 calories, and again, that's 728 calories for a guy that's in this level of condition. You know, for you, Chubby, it may be many more calories than that.
You know, I worked down at the Clemson Student Fitness Center today, and it felt great to be consistent because I know that no matter what gym I go to, I'm consistently the least swole person there.
I tell you what, that's probably the first time you've ever been called chubby in your life. Another defensive stand for Clemson.
If Ron Gruber had a few more possessions in the first half, he'd be on his way to a 10K for a 2-hour window.
Well, the way we've gotten started here in this second half, there's a strong possibility because there's been, you know, a lot of action. Both teams getting up and down the floor, and Clemson not afraid to run with North Carolina. Many teams don't want to get in the track meet with the Tar Heels, but you see Clemson has had no problem going up and down with the Tar Heels early in this one.
They spent a lot of their time this morning at their practice. They go early, a 6 o'clock tip-off. They went at 9:30 this morning, and they spent a lot of their time just focusing on getting back in transition and stopping the ball. Most importantly, the one transition bucket that we've seen, that two-handed dunk for Garrison Brooks, the ball was stopped. Hunter Tyson stepped up to stop the ball, just didn't have any help behind it.
But North Carolina put so much pressure on you defensively, making you get back and set your defense, and oftentimes because you're so concerned about stopping the action in the paint, you forget about the shooters that they have on the perimeter. And one of the very few teams that likes to run after makes and, of course, after misses.
Woods just picked up his second foul. Couple bounces off the tin and an unfriendly roll to the Tigers.
You know, we knew that North Carolina would play inspired basketball coming in the second half with Roy Williams in the locker room. But this is a desperation game for the Tigers, and we've seen desperation from them the entire evening thus far. And that's the area where they've been able to come up with this 1-point lead here in the second half.
And they've scored the last 7 points. In that same time frame, North Carolina has gone 0 for 7 from the floor. May on the deck, and the foul. As you mentioned, no Roy Williams here so far in the second half. He went down, he's battled vertigo for some time, went down to a knee late in the first half, so it's now Steve Robinson, longtime assistant to Coach Williams, former head coach at Florida State, who's taken over here in the second half. But as Steve Kirshner, the sports information director for North Carolina, told us at the half, what Coach Williams did in the locker room was tell all of his assistants, here's exactly what we need for the final 20 minutes.
Well, and you mentioned, of course, 3 seasons ago, we had the same scenario where Coach Williams went down, and we spotlight and see. And I've had a conversation with Coach Williams about this a number of times, and it's really off a quick movement. He watched the shot go up by Kobe White and immediately turned quickly to put a sub in the game, and that's normally when it affects him. It's these sudden quick movements, especially turning his head. So Coach Robinson, very familiar with this. He actually took over in that game at Boston College, and they were able to pull that one out as a win, and hoping to do here on the road as well.
A 3-point win that night, February 9th of 2016 at Conti Forum. Just 2 on the timer. A strong finish for Sims.
And that's where Amir Sims really can be more effective for the Clemson Tigers. He's relied way too much on his perimeter shooting all season long, but he can be tough to handle on that block when he's down there. A great example going over top of Luke May.
Disappointed look from Steve Robinson there on the fadeaway jumper from Johnson. That would have tied the game for the Tar Heels. Sims thought about the perimeter shot, went back to the rim, too much on it. 6.5 minutes for the Tar Heels without a made basket. A lot of contact. Newman got his hand caught up with White tumbling down the lane. And it's the second on the freshman out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
You have to remember, these two guys, teammates, Team CP3 a year ago. So one thing for certain, John Newman going to do everything he can not to allow Kobe White to get the best of him. It looks like Kobe White may have blood going to have to be attended to on the sideline.
35, Jalen White back in.
Well, after us, it's off to Las Vegas for UFC 235. John Jones defends his light heavyweight title against Anthony Smith, and Tyron Woodley puts his welterweight belt on the line in the pay-per-view co-main events. ESPN and ESPN Deportes will have the preliminary fight starting at 8 Eastern. And to order the main card, go to ESPN.com/UFC 235. 5 to shoot. Williams has to go. Loose ball. Tigers come up with it.
And a mistake by the Clemson Tigers. You've got two players, Marquise Reed and John Newman, both running out in front, but because no one picked up the basketball, it ends up being a shot clock violation. But Clemson operating on the block. Amir Sims taking on Luke May, the jump hook over the top to give the Tigers a 2-point lead.
Not a club you want to be in at this time of the year. Utah State in there as well. They've got a big matchup tonight against a top 15 Mountain West opponent in Nevada. It's been a great defensive night for Tyson, who missed the 3, and a good overall evening for Javen White, who makes it 52-48 Tigers.
But you see, White has the size advantage and probably an athleticism advantage over Garrison Brooks on the interior. Another offensive rebound and second chance points for Clemson to make it a 4-point lead.
But only 4, as North Carolina has missed its last 8 shots. A hard bump. Brad Brownell begging for a foul on Marquise Reed. The lead 6. More than 7 minutes without a made field goal for North Carolina, and it's a short corner jumper from Brooks to end that streak.
And I'm not sure that that will be the guy that you were expecting to give you that basket, but a timely bucket from Garrison Brooks. And right now, Mike, and this is no shot at Steve Robinson, but this North Carolina team does seem to be out of sorts on the offensive end of the floor, and oftentimes it's just that different voice that you don't get.
How about that? Extra effort from Brandon Robinson. However, it doesn't yield possession as he goes out of bounds next to Ron Groover and into the Clemson radio position.
And we saw a play, of course, this play right here turns into a bucket for the Clemson Tigers in transition. Marquise Reed coming up with the steal. But we saw Marquise Reed actually earlier with a great defensive possession once again, coming up with a steal. But you see both Clemson players looking at the basketball. You got to look at the shot clock in the back. And it's 2 points that the Tigers did not get because no one picks up the basketball, allowing it to be a shot clock violation. And they had to play against a set defense on the possession. They actually did not score coming out of the timeout.
I'm not smart enough to suggest the language, but you'd love to see the rules be able to be revised to allow them to play on through that. And it is a rules change year coming up.
But here's the question. How do you play on through that when you don't have possession determined at that point? Because it's a loose basketball, so you can't really say that Clemson gets the basketball or...
Didn't you hear I just said I'm not smart enough to figure out how to write it? Just would seem to make sense.
Huge rebound by Jaden White there, where you honestly thought that there would be two North Carolina players coming up with that basketball. It turns into a rush shot from Shelton Mitchell.
The last couple shots have come from Tyson in the corner. They're Mitchell, a little quick, and May, who's been off tonight, delivers on that trip down the floor. His first triple, he's got 8.
And Brad Brownell slowing his team down. We talked about how Clemson didn't mind getting into the track meet with North Carolina, but now as we get closer to the end of this game, under 9 minutes, every possession becomes even more important. And Coach Brownell wanting to get quality looks.
White was the Carolina star in the first half, coming off the career-high 34, his third 30-point game of the season. Battle in the post, count it, and the foul.
Taking advantage of the switches. Luke May off the... And really, Jaden White on this possession too far off of May with his ability to shoot the 3. But then Luke May off of a switch with John Newman, who's a very good perimeter defender, but no match for May on the block. Luke May, 5 straight points, looking to make it 6 for the Heels.
This playground seesaw of a game, tipping back and forth, now favors the Tar Heels by 2 with 8:20 to go. In a game the Tar Heels would like, but the Tigers need. Amir Sims for 3.
And right now you have a matchup where Amir Sims can go back to playing against Luke May with Elijah Thomas back on the floor. Amir Sims has played the majority of this half at the 5 position.
Thomas went to the bench after picking up his 3rd foul. A bit of a gamble there by Brad Brownell, but so far it's not proved to be a detrimental one. Mitchell called for the push-off.
And we've seen that call a number of times in this game. Shelton Mitchell with the left arm extended as his Clemson Tigers trail by 1.
Well, we're now in the most important month of the season, but February was quite kind to North Carolina. 7-1 for the 5th time under Roy Williams. Took down Duke, the rematch still to come. Zion Williamson's status still to be determined. And Kobe White on Wednesday in a 93-85 win over Syracuse. Dropped into 34. 9 teams in right now for Joe Lunardi. And you are quite bullish on the 1 seed line for this league.
I am. I have a scenario where North Carolina becomes the 3rd ACC school to be able to get a 1 seed. What would have to happen in that case is Duke would actually have to beat the Tar Heels in the rematch for the final regular season game as Kobe White continues his hot shooting. 23 points for Kobe White, but Zion would need to come back. Duke would need to beat North Carolina so they maintain their status. North Carolina would then need to beat Duke in the rematch at the ACC tournament and then go on to beat Virginia in the championship game. In my opinion, if that happens, all 3 of those ACC teams have a very good chance of being 1 seed.
You're betting against history because since seeding started, it's only happened once that a single league has sent 3 teams as number 1 seeds. The 2009 Big East. The other team, of course, they're on the number 1 seed line. The North Carolina Tar Heels, your eventual national champions. Foul on Garrison Brooks, his 3rd. But you look around, especially in power leagues, not a great year for the Big East with 2 teams that have been very good and the rest of the league has not been great. And the Pac-12, which had the most bizarre result the other night as Washington gave Cal its first conference win of the year.
Well, and when you also look at the fact that the other players for that #1 seed, people talk Michigan State, they talk Kentucky. Both those teams losing today. And so even Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee has the resume as far as the strength of schedule to be able to be on that one line where North Carolina's strength of schedule and their overall resume has been great this season.
They're at their highest in the AP poll this year at number 5, and they've won 11 of 12.
And Gonzaga's going to be a 1 seed. We know that much. Virginia and Duke should very well be 1 seeds.
See Gonzaga later tonight, 10 Eastern, here on ESPN against St. Mary's. Count that basket for Kenny Williams, who's going to the line, a chance for one more.
And Kenny Williams has struggled at times shooting the basketball this season, but one thing he has done is make timely shots for his team, made multiple threes in a very close game at Miami on the road, and you see now coming up with another big bucket. Kenny Williams, the senior, continues to provide the leadership necessary to help his team win.
Largest lead that either side has had in this game has been 9 points by North Carolina. Clemson's led by as many as 6. The jumper from Reed trims the Tar Heel lead to 3. Backdoor cut White, and still finishes despite almost losing it.
That is, you can take it all the way back to the beginning of North Carolina basketball with Dean Smith. You know the backdoor is in the mix. And Marquise Reed, the answer, his second straight bucket, 5 quick points for Reed.
(67-63) on the May lay-in. Just 4 points in the first half for May, now up to 13, 2 shy of his season average. Thomas saw open space, says why not? And he draws the foul on May, number 3.
The pace of this game has favored North Carolina. Textbook backdoor action, taking advantage of the aggressiveness on the perimeter. And then as Kobe White returning the favor to Luke May, these two players getting involved on the last 2 possessions offensively for North Carolina, feeding each other both of the bucket and both an assist.
It's noteworthy right now where all of the Clemson players are standing as well.
Back on defense, making sure they don't give North Carolina a running start at them on the offensive end of the floor as Eli Thomas misses 2 free throws. But one thing, you got Marquise Reed, one of the best on-ball defenders in the ACC, guarding Kobe White, who's now up to 25 points to coming off of a 34-point performance versus Syracuse.
Johnson steps into it, and a three-pointer good on the feed from White. Had a career-high 32 last year in the loss to Clemson as the Tigers try to make it 2 in a row against North Carolina after beating them back-to-back in 03 and 04. On the way up, Brooks bumps Thomas.
And great action from North Carolina. The screen to bring Cam Johnson to the top of the key, who knocks down another three-pointer for the Tar Heels. 11 on the evening thus far. And we talked about the fact that they're on pace to break a school record for three-pointers made per game at 8.8 right now, and that number keeps going up.
Tar Heels 12 of 30 from 3. Clemson 7 of 20 from beyond the arc. And that's just 2 in the second half after they hit 5 in the opening 20 minutes. Three-pointers would help them beat North Carolina last year, going 15 for 30.
But North Carolina with 12 made threes and really not tremendous separation, only a 6-point lead in this game. So Clemson can find a way to come up with a couple of stops. they get right back into the mix of this one. 4:14, a lot of time remaining in this game.
Thomas, the screen, the roll. Couldn't find him under the basket. White may have gotten away with the carry. The signal from Clarence Armstrong. Bobbling, didn't have possession.
Well, I agree with that because he never put the basketball back down. Had he dribbled again, it would have been a turnover, but losing the basketball is part of the game. He basically found a way to get it to his teammate.
4 to shoot. Williams off the screen, heaves it up. Here comes Clemson, down by 6. 3.5 to go. Tigers in desperate need of a win tonight. One of the last 4 teams projected into the NCAA tournament field. Trapp getting his first ACC start and his first since December. Has a chance to cut into the lead with 3:16 to go.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shot. Get back to 100%.
Six-point game, Corey Alexander, Mike Cousins. 6-point game here at Littlejohn Coliseum with Corey Alexander, Mike Cousins, and it's Clyde Trapp at the free throw line shooting a pair. North Carolina's Luke May picked up his 4th foul before the break. He and Garrison Brooks each with 4 for the Tar Heels. Trapp getting his first start since before Christmas and comes through after a scoreless game Wednesday against Pitt with 10 tonight.
And now you see North Carolina with its best lineup on the floor. Nasir Little at the 4 position, putting Luke May at the 5, which makes him a matchup problem. And in order to react, you see Elijah Thomas having to guard Nasir Little in comparison to guarding Luke May, and he picks up the foul off of a great cut by Little, and then turning around having to guard the dribble penetration of Kobe White. So this matchup with having Little and May as the bigs on the floor really puts Clemson in a tough position as to who Elijah Thomas guards.
And a substitution comes for the Tigers, but it's Mitchell into the game replacing Newman, and they leave Thomas out there with 2:58 to go.
And I would probably expect to see Steve Robinson going with an offense-defense substitution between Little and Brooks to give Brooks an opportunity to guard Elijah Thomas, but when they have an offensive possession, to see him get Little back into the lineup.
Slipping behind the defense, Marquise Reed with a sneaky 2 to make it a 4-point game. Tar Heels have 10 to shoot. Wow, a contested three-pointer for Johnson.
Go back to what Brad Brownell told us earlier. Regardless as to who you have guarding Cameron Johnson, he is 6'9". He can shoot over top of contested defenders, and that's exactly what you saw in that possession. Very good defense by Clemson, just better offense from Cam Johnson.
They got the double team in the corner, rotated off of it well. But the best three-point shooter in the league and the 8th best in the country came through big. They're taking every possession now down to its dwindling moments, trying to nurse this lead. They back it out. 30 more seconds ready to tick away.
North Carolina, the leading rebounding team nationally, averages over 13.5, but a great defensive play by Reed comes up with the bucket.
The steal, he's got 24 points. We've got a 30-second timeout. Don't go anywhere. Nobody's led by more than 9 in this game between the Tar Heels and the Tigers because of great offensive play.
And we've got 2 guys who both transferred from the Pittsburgh area. One from Pittsburgh, Cameron Johnson, the other from Robert Morris. Marquise Reed getting the job done. Both all ACC performers this season for their respective teams. And right now a showdown here at Littlejohn Coliseum.
And very familiar territory for the Tigers, a late game situation, which it's a close game. Sports Center tonight after #1 Gonzaga and St. Mary's with Bucci and Anderson. Highlights from Warriors 76ers, plus we are 15 days from Selection Sunday. How the potential top seeds like North Carolina fared today, and post-fight reactions from UFC 235. Sports Center, midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific on ESPN, and it travels wherever you go on the ESPN app.
Out of the timeout, Brad Brownell going with full court pressure. It's going to be zone pressure versus North Carolina to see if they can come up with a turnover or even force a quick shot from the Tar Heels.
White feeds it ahead for Williams. Uncontested to the rim, a defensive breakdown.
Well, they got the quick shot, but that wasn't the quick shot they wanted. They would have loved to have someone back defensively.
Mitchell floating to the basket. Foul, and the clock stops at 1:02.
And great recognition by Kobe White against the press to throw the ball ahead of Kenny Williams, allow Kenny Williams to catch up to it, knowing that there was no one back defensively, and basically handing Kenny Williams a bucket off of the pressure. Great job from North Carolina out of the timeout for Steve Robinson, expecting the pressure, one, and then how to go about executing against it.
NC State, Miami, Louisville, all close finishes for the Tigers. How do they make this one different?
Well, they have to find a way to get a stop. 1 minute and 2 seconds, of course, is a long time with only down 5 points. But they have to find a way to get a stop. And right now, the fouling Kobe White, who's an 83% free throw shooter, going to the line now with no time going off the clock. May not be the answer.
The first loss that plagued them in Raleigh, missed free throws late, and a Braxton Beverly 3 to win it. It wasn't Chris Likes, it was Zach Johnson of Miami, the unexpected hero. And then the unexpected opportunity to win it at the buzzer. Jordan Wara blocks it. John Newman's shot comes up short at the end. And the Tigers down 5 with 62 seconds to play. A team that needs every victory it can. This, a large quadrant 1 opportunity to get itself more cemented into the field.
And Mike, let's just say you win one of those games. Let's say you win the one at Miami. Now you're 8-7 in the ACC. It's a completely different scenario because you have a 500 record in the best conference in the country. And so now when you look at 9 teams from the conference getting in, especially with the soft bubble that we talked about, the conversation isn't as difficult regarding Clemson because you at least have a winning record.
There have been double-digit win teams over the last several years from this league that have not made the field. But the Tigers are worried about who they're working against relative to them on the bubble. That's a 3, and it's good from the corner. 78-75. Timeout, North Carolina.
We have seen Elijah Thomas make a number of great passes when he's caught the ball at the mid-post area. And Thomas could have very easily forced a shot, taking this in, does a great job recognizing and finding Clyde Trapp. We've seen him knock down a number of threes in this game, but none bigger than that one to make it a one-possession game.
Brad Brownell leading his squad, and the other huddle for North Carolina. Steve Robinson, the longtime Roy Williams assistant, former head coach at Florida State in this league, leads their charge as Roy Williams late in the first half. He's battled vertigo over the course of his career, went down to a knee and was helped off by the athletic training staff to the locker room, has not returned here in the second half. But we do wish him well, as he had a similar bout about 3 years ago against Boston College.
Steve Robinson has done an admirable job here in this second half, keeping this team going in the positive direction. And right now, in the midst of Clemson trying to fight its way back and playing very desperate here in this second half with the sense of urgency necessary for the Tigers to be able to win this game. But right now, North Carolina clinging to a three-point lead, and Brad Brownell and his staff having a conversation. And that conversation is about, do we foul now if we don't get a turnover? Because the one thing you don't want to do is allow this game to go too far and not give yourself a chance. You try to play this out, you don't get a stop. North Carolina scores on this possession. Now you're dealing with, probably under 20 seconds remaining to try to make up a two-possession game. So be interesting to see how they go about this defensively if they try to play out the final 22 seconds on the shot clock.
White pass, Newman puts it up, left it short, tipped out into the hands of Trapp. And a whistle as the ball came down to the Tigers sophomore.
And a foul on Kobe White, which gives Clemson an opportunity to cut even further into this lead. With 18 seconds remaining. So now if you're Clemson, if Trapp is able to take care of these free throws, especially if he's able to get one of them. Now, if you're Clemson, it doesn't bother you at all to trap and foul if you don't get the basketball on a turnover in the first possession, because you have more than enough time extending this game coming down. But big free throws for Trapp, who's already knocked down a huge three-pointer. It's 2 for 2 from the free throw line tonight.
Front end is there. Both teams bolster their forces. North Carolina on offense and Clemson on defense. A one-point game, 18 seconds to go. And Johnson uses North Carolina's penultimate timeout.
And by taking that timeout, now North Carolina cannot run the baseline. And so that's an area where with their full court pressure, knowing that you can force the basketball to one area definitely helped for the Clemson Tigers.
North Carolina trying to work its way from a number 2 seed to a number 1 seed, ranked the highest they've been in the poll this year. Winners of 11 of 12. The Clemson Tigers, they haven't won 2 straight against North Carolina since 03-04. Just one quadrant 1 victory. Projected as a number 12 seed right now, the last 4 in. When we were at Clemson's practice this morning, Brad Brownell says the reason he has early shoot-arounds is he wants his guys to have some time to be able to clear their minds during the day. He said, what do you do to clear your mind during the day? He paused for a moment and said, I watch more film. And moments like this are exactly where that might pay off, just the small tactical event.
And that's my mistake. Cam Johnson actually, because of timeout, can still run the baseline. but because he called that timeout in comparison to being a throw-in and dead ball.
Tigers didn't get what they wanted on the trap, so the foul comes. 12.7 to play.
His third, 19th foul.
But now you see how big that foul was when Kobe White fouled Clyde Trapp. Trapp goes to the free throw line and makes 2. So even if Kenny Williams does make both these free throws here, it's still a one-possession game, which gives Clemson an opportunity to get a good look at the 3 to tie the basketball game and send it to overtime.
Two for 2, 3-point lead.
And we watched Clemson work on this, and the foul by North Carolina, Kobe White fouling.
Foul is on number 2, Kobe White.
And I'm not sure that that's what Steve Robinson was asking for Kobe to do, but you have coaches who go back and forth as to whether or not to foul. And we watched Clemson in their shoot-around at the end of shoot-around multiple times today work on last possession, needing a 3, and they ended their shoot-around with Shelton Mitchell hitting a 3 in the corner. So Brad Brownell is prepared for this moment, but it can become, again, a much closer game, can be a one-point game if Mitchell's able to knock down this second free throw. And again, we will see the full court pressure set up again, and without a turnover, send North Carolina to the line again to try to make 2 free throws.
Got them both. May sends it long. There's Williams, and he's bumped by Reed.
Now that was fortunate.
Inviting disaster by throwing the ball that long.
Because, and of course, we know football is a part of Luke May's family. Father was a quarterback at Carolina, so he knows about throwing the long ball, but great play by Kenny Williams to track that down. If Kenny Williams does not get a hand on that basketball and it goes out of bounds, Clemson gets it back underneath that basket. Risky play, but it works out.
2 shots for Williams.
Give Kenny Williams credit, stepping up, knocking down 3 straight free throws thus far. An important one here, still a one-possession game for the Tigers regardless.
Clemson's got a timeout if they want it. Mitchell down the lane, a lot of contact, no whistle. North Carolina heaves it ahead. And Trapp's heave at the buzzer is no good. And the Tigers are stunned at the buzzer once again.
Well, the Tigers are stunned because there's too much contact to be no call. And again, and the clock does stop. But I don't think there's a foul on Kobe White on that possession. But if you look at that possession closer, you see Garrison Brooks coming in, and there's the push on Shelton Mitchell. 15 in light blue coming in, the contact on Shelton Mitchell at the end of that possession, the forearm in his back. That should be a foul and a 2-point game, putting Shelton Mitchell on the free throw line with an opportunity to tie this game. Mitchell did the right thing, put the pressure on the officials to make a call, but no call made at that point. The contact is here. Kobe White plays that well, but you see Garrison Brooks come in with the contact. That left forearm on the backside. Tough way to lose a game if you're the Clemson Tigers, who have lost a number of tough games this season.
They'll be perspiring for the next 2 weeks, all the way until Selection Sunday. An opportunity for a Quadrant 1 victory, and that win eludes them once again. North Carolina now winners of 12 of 13. So for our entire crew, my partner Corey Alexander, I'm Mike Cousins saying so long from South Carolina. Let's send you to T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, UFC 235 right now.